Thanks again to Carbon Health for being our presenting sponsor. If you're a regular here, you guys know about Carbon Health. I talk about Carbon Health all of the time, and they help with things like COVID, cold and flu testing, antibiotic prescriptions for things like infections, UTIs, STDs. They have primary care services in California and Massachusetts. But if you are new here, and thank you for stopping by the way, and you should also know that they can help with injuries also. Most of their locations have imaging or x-ray machines so they can diagnose strains, sprains, and fractures if you unfortunately become injured. And I know, unfortunately, not everybody will be near one of their 120 locations. I get it, but they do have virtual urgent care services for states like California, New York, Florida, and several others. So thanks once again to Carbon Health. There is a link in the description for them. They're the best. They've been with us for a bit. You should be too. All right, let's get to it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Capes and Cowls. It's the big thing. Excited for you guys to be here with us today. We've got a lot to talk about. The Flash is coming out. We know that. That's right around the corner. James Gunn, he's talking a lot. He's talking on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast about Superman and some interesting things that he said on that for sure. We have Across the Spider-Verse, rather, still kicking ass at the box office. And yeah, Secret Invasion. You guys saw it. I didn't see it just yet, but we'll talk about that and more. There's some delays. Daredevil, I think, got pushed back, and a few other things that are happening. But we got a lot to talk about. A lot for sure. So we're excited that you guys are going to be joining us. I have a few things that we'll talk about real quick. Obviously, next week, man, we're almost there. New York. You going to get there? Next week. Come on out. TheChristianHarloff.com. Not only if you can't make it out, I live in Idaho. How come I can't get to New York? Well, then you can go to TheChristianHarloff.com and watch it. Live stream, baby. Go ahead and do it. Subscribe to the channel. Let's do it. 100,000. Let's get you there. Get you there. No, never mind me. We want you to be part of the 100,000. Let's start an army in this biatch. All right, what else? We got the comic book, The Chairman, The Black Knight, and The Speed Talker all coming at you courtesy of Wicked Art. Head on over to thechristianharloff.com on July 1st, and you'll be able to get that comic. You can get it a la carte. You can get it if you're a member of the site. Speaking of that, Shoes and Beef coming in hot July 1st. Also, very excited about the opportunity for you guys to check this out. We had a blast making it, and I can't wait for you guys to check it out. All right. Let's do it. Capes and Cows, big thing, everybody. It's myself, Coy Jandro, Winston A. Marshall.
I'm glad you got it right this time. Like
I always get it right.
I know you're gonna. No. I know you're gonna edit this out, and it's fine. This is me living out my little 8-year-old watching Batman the Animated Series, dream, and so playing a hard rock song versus my I came in to save the day is completely different.
That never happened.
It's a retroactive future.
Never happened.
I just realized in this moment that your initials are Wham.
Yeah,
that's dope.
I like that.
You guys,
Michael.
It's always really funny.
I just put it together.
It's really funny when people figure it out, especially because there was this Maury episode where this dude spelled it WHAM, but he was like, yeah, I'm the 8th person she done brought in. See if that's her baby daddy, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not me. That was a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. And I was like, yo,
that should have been your nickname in.
Is the wham bam, thank you, ma'am?
No, just Wham.
I
Winston Wham Marshall.
It's good.
That would have been good. Damn it. Yeah. Could have sold those shirts, man.
Hindsight. 3 year ago hindsight.
It's an exciting time here for sure. We got a lot going on the channel. Obviously, we mentioned all the stuff that's coming up down the pike, I guess, for the live events, the channel in general. We just crossed over 80,000 subscribers. So that more, and people have been asking, just in case you didn't know, we announced it yesterday. It's a big announcement that we also put out there that I've been teasing forever, and here it is. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be executive producing Katie Sackhoff's podcast, Blah, 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 with Katie Sackhoff. We are shooting the episodes here. And how that's going to work. So everybody, you go to her channel, her YouTube channel. It's just Katie Sackhoff. You go there, you'll see it. And we are doing, it's really, she wanted to do a show where obviously casual conversation, people that she knew, people that she didn't know. And we have some really good guests. We actually shot. It's hilarious because I've had some really good guests on this show, and for me, I got to put in the work, man. So does she. So does she. But like, what was hilarious is that she's like, well, I'm going to try for this person. I was like, oh my God, if you get that person, that's going to be amazing. And that person writes back, yeah, of course. And I'm like, that's how this is going to go. Wow, because we did get that person, and that person comes up quick. And Katie's so good at this. She's so good at this. I can't wait for people to check out her podcast. And you can see it's going to be available on Spotify. It's going to be available. So I saw someone say, how does that? I thought this announcement was going to benefit your channel. It is, because we're shooting it from the studio. We're shooting it from the studio here. We're making sure that I want Katie's meeting a lot of the crew. We're doing stuff, and we're going to be doing something pretty fun. There's another thing coming involved with this. So a lot of great things are happening in general, and I really hope that you guys go on over to Katie's channel and check it out. It's just, again, you just type in Katie Sackhoff and it'll come up on the podcast feed. So I'm excited for it. All right, we have a lot of things to talk about, guys. Because first things first. Let's just talk about, we get the Flash coming up right around the corner. We all saw it.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised. I mean, I guess I am and I'm not about the. I saw your tweet last night just about Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I'm so disconnected from the critics right now.
It's baffling how
disconnected.
I don't feel I don't even understand it. You know, when you like read something and you're like, oh, I disagree, but I see where they're coming from.
I'm on the opposite page of them all the time. Yeah.
These last few movies, I've been like, I don't get where you're even coming from. Not only do I disagree, but like, what did you go into it expecting? What did you experience? How did you leave differently than me? I feel 3 levels of removed for the first time.
It's different.
On so many movies.
It's different. Yeah, it's different. It would be, if it happens on 1 or 2 movies, but it's like every movie for me now. I saw somebody last night go on my out of the theater for Indiana Jones, like, oh yeah, of course you loved it. You love everything. And I was like, you didn't watch you didn't watch this video. What I said was that I enjoyed the movie. I had fun with it. There's a lot of problems with it. It's slow. I didn't love the ending. But compared to Crystal Skull, it's The Empire Strikes Back compared to Crystal Skull. So
we're gonna get into it into a minute. Yeah. It's so funny because you set the stage, and you didn't influence me. I think what it was with the Flash is everybody kept saying greatest superhero movie of all time. So that put like an unnecessary hype on there. But like, while I enjoyed that movie, there are things to point out that like have issues. You know what I'm saying?
Of course,
like,
a lot.
Yeah, it's not Dark Knight, but I was able to separate that fairly early into my journey because I was like, wait, who am I to listen to that and have that affect this?
No, absolutely. No, I'm on the same page with you.
The same thing. It's just shocking that people can't do that.
But what's wild is like I didn't think you would think that a critic. You've got a slow shot on Coy just sitting there.
Hey, I'm just listening.
That's fine. Very, very intently.
Very pensive.
No one wants to see.
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
You guys know what I listen like?
True.
But just
it's a long night last night. Give me a break.
But man went to premiere.
It's way past my bedtime.
I know everything now is divisive. I know everything is an argument. I don't understand this idea now. I would have thought critics, of all people who are supposed to have a critical eye, would be able to separate themselves from just like, it's good at shit. Excuse my language. But like, it feels like it's even gotten to that point where everything is just caca to them.
I think they're just mad at popularity. For me, it feels like when you're that kid that's like, well, why is Jimmy on the football team? And there's just this rebellion against the thing that's cool. So anything that comes out has this cool lens that people have to be like, well, you know what? I didn't like it because I'm edgy.
Which is, again, the reiteration of how Rotten Tomatoes works, right? It's just, to me, I understand that if you didn't think The Flash was a great movie, I get that. I think it's a really good movie, so I get it. But as I said in Rotten Tomatoes, like anything under a 3 out of 5 is rotten.
Yeah,
I think this movie is over 3. I think that there's a lot. I think Indiana Jones is over 3. Right?
Very confidently.
Right. And
I don't think it's a 5, but I think over 3 and a 5 are different things.
I'm pretty close with Indy. I might even go to a 10-point scale from now on because I want
probably more nuanced.
I think so, and I think Indy's a 7. I think it's a 7. I think there's. I had a lot of fun with it, but there's a lot wrong
high
with it.
7, but I'm in the 7s with you.
Yeah, there's a lot wrong with it, but look, I was expecting, because of the critic stuff, I was expecting a disaster. I was expecting Crystal Skull again. I was expecting the really corny jokes and I'm like, oh man, and I know we're talking about The Flash also, but I just think it's relevant where I do think that not only with the best superhero movie of all time conversation, I think that the Ezra Miller of it all was another thing that critics went in going, okay, I can't watch this movie objectively because I'm I don't like this person.
And they're in every
you
frame.
have the right to not like that person. You have the right that if you know, your heart of your hearts, you do like, I know we've talked about it openly, how you feel about it, how we all feel about it, but you've got to make that decision going into that theater. All right, I have my thoughts on that situation outside of it, but I chose to watch the movie now, so now I'm going to judge the movie, not the person.
Because for me, there's so many artists making all these movies, and there's so many moving parts, and there's so much that goes into it. And for my experience of The Flash, everyone loves this character. And I really, really, really have always loved Barry Allen. So for me, having a love letter to Barry Allen is so much more important than having these qualms. Because I have qualms, but my overall experience was look at the joy, look at the passion, look at the glee, look at the celebration of the Flashpoint story that is told with heart, that is told with nuance, that is told with passion. That's what I want out of my art, is passion. If I feel something because of the passion the artist tried to give me, that's what my journey is. So the reason I usually love everything is because they accomplish that. So if my bar is I leave happier than I went in, I'm sorry that I enjoyed that. Like, I got a 2 better hour experience out of my life than yours. You spent 2 hours being cranky. I spent 2 hours clapping. I'm going to take my choice.
I mean, that's the thing. It's funny because that post now has got to be over a month old. The Instagram short or reel of us when Coy wasn't here, the first sports analogy thing we made. Yeah, people have been like, oh, yeah, pay everything to sports. But it's funny. It reminds me of watching a team like what the Heat and the Nuggets just finished the NBA Finals. It was like watching the Heat, where it's like, man, they've been scrapping, and then they just got their ass whooped in the finals. But like, it's fun to watch something, even if it doesn't go the full-on distance of it's the greatest movie ever. It's an Oscar winner, whatever. That for all of its flaws, there's a lot of things that you can enjoy out of the victories. And I think
I do also think that I don't think you're wrong with the popularity side of it, but I do think, and I don't think that they're necessarily wrong to feel it, but I think that the critics who are not fans of the comic book genre, right, have maybe just had enough. You know, they're just, and it's like, this has been, and probably have thought it's just a fad. It'll go away after 4 years, and it's been here for 15. A long time now. So they're probably like, here's another one of these things. Maybe if we just keep hitting it, and I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that they're like, oh, I'm going to give it a negative review, because maybe they're just exhausted by it, and maybe they just can't enjoy it anymore. So when they're watching it, they just cannot, and it seems more generic to them in certain things. My biggest critique with The Flash, and we're going to talk about it in our spoilers, but I still think, and I was wondering if they would switch it from the time I saw it from CinemaCon to now. CGI, there's a lot of like mummy-esque Scorpion King CGI in it. Like some
My
bad
biggest struggle
CGI.
is the heart is there and the emotional connection is there, but every so often you get that like Polar Express, and you're like,
it's bad. It happens in indie too.
And it's hard to connect because you're so already connected, it actually is disoriented by losing the connection, and then you got to re-engage.
Yeah.
So I found myself kind of having some whiplash of emotionality.
The funny thing is, there are moments where this isn't really a spoiler in the fact that like we go into the Speed Force, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense within the Speed Force because you're like, okay, we're kind of in this alternate dimension type situation, whatever. My issue becomes when it happens in like the real world and it becomes mummy bad CGI. That I'm like, no. This is the moment where it should look normal. This is like, and so that ended up being a lot of my hangups. But as far as like telling a story,
it was a good story.
It was amazing.
It was well directed. You know, it was, and I think it's also be fair that the direction there's just so much pressure on those VFX artists. You know, like,
it is
how much they have to get done and what they're going to do. So the direction it does fall on Muschietti there too with some of those shots, because some of those shots, I mean, some of them are like 90s bad, and some of it really transfer over even with Indiana Jones, like the Indiana Jones part of it too. Well, I know that it's not a comic book movie. We'll talk about it at some other time, but I still, with the technology that they have advanced with deepfake as opposed to de-aging, stop doing de-aging if you're going to do that long. Deepfake works much more. It works so much. But you compare the de-aging to Mark Hamill in Mandalorian Season 2, and then compare it to Mark Hamill in Boba Fett. I mean, it looks like a person walking around. You can't even notice. I mean, a couple times here and there. But either way, Flash comes out. It's going to do...
it's trying to do pretty 70, good. 80, something like that?
80, and then I think worldwide it's doing something like 170, and I said yesterday or whatever it was, I said I think that's not a bad opening to start, and some people say, well, look, it's got to make like $400 or $500 million just to break even, just like kind of like the with reshoots and everything too, with the way of Black Adam, and it does, and they're not wrong. The only thing that it has going for it is that it's minus, like Black Adam I think came out in like October or whatever it was, and it's not a time traditionally where people are seeing movies, and I mean, that's not the only reason, obviously, but there's other things that were coming out. This movie is in the summer season, and it has Indiana Jones to contend with
in 2 weeks.
in about 2 weeks.
It's got Elemental this week.
Yeah, but that's a different audience.
Yeah.
It's a different audience, and then that's why Disney was probably is also putting it out a week or two before Indiana Jones, because they don't think it's going to bind into it. But I think that overall, it's still, because it's the only superhero movie in town until the Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
So I think that it's got a chance to have some legs if the word of mouth is. I think the word of mouth with the audience is going to be pretty good, and I think the audience is as disconnected to the critics now, more so than ever.
More than ever.
It always has been more so now.
No,
than
it
ever.
used to be people would be like, it got a bad Rotten Tomatoes, maybe I'll wait. And now it's like, I don't really have an effect there. Like there's not really a correlation between those two things when there's so much negativity. And especially when you actually take the time to read the reviews, they're just so like blindly negative. They don't actually have anything nuanced to say.
Some do though.
I'm generalizing. That's fair.
Yeah.
There are enough that are blind in there that I like stop reading, as opposed to like, let me engage further.
Bro, it's enough that they are affecting even us, because I put out my non-spoiler review of The Flash, and most of the stuff that I said was just like, I just had CGI problems, and I had a little bit of an issue of how we kind of wrapped up the main villain at the end. But other than that, I love the movie. So why is everybody else saying it's the greatest movie ever? You just trash. You know what you're talking. I'm like, yeah,
maybe see the movie.
But it's just it feels very chicken and egg at this point, where it's like, is it that people are rebelling against critics because they're putting out negativity, or are critics putting out negativity because they're
rebelling against people just being blindly?
It's very weird that it's all very cyclical at this point, and everybody's just kind of striking at everybody. But
that's why I've never joined any of the critics associations, because I feel like it's once you're a part of a group that is so labeled, it's a certain expectation, and then the fans are a certain expectation. I like living in the middle, where I talk about movies, I experience them, but I consider myself much more of a hype man than a critic. Like, I'd rather review a thing, but I don't critique.
I don't disagree with you, because I consider myself more so someone who just talks about movies with my friends, and I'll review it and stuff too. And by definition, people, you semantics, you can say, well, that is criticism, and it's not wrong, but that's the age old, everybody's a critic, right?
Right.
But I am part of the critics, the CCA, right? And the reason why I kind of push back on that just a little bit is because I like to be that voice of what we do.
Oh, you're the voice of what
there.
we're doing in the space.
Because that's why, even though it's like, well, by association, aren't you then a critic? And I guess, yeah, if you want to, because I'm part of that association,
but fix it from the inside.
Yeah, but I don't. But I also don't want to devalue the game of, say, like, I always bring up Bibiani, as much as I'm never on the same page as that guy.
The work he puts in is bananas. Like, he's a critic.
He's an official professional critic, and he's very good at what he does. And so's Alonzo Duralde and Christy Lemire. Those are the ones that I always bring up all the time. And like watched Alonzo's out of the theater for both Flash and Indiana Jones, and I was on the same page with him on Indiana Jones, and on the Flash we were not. And that's why I actually brought up the exhaustion thing, because listening to I think he said nerd culture may have been a bad idea, or whatever it was, whatever he said. But like I think he's exhausted by it.
Yeah,
I think he's like officially. He didn't say this, but I just think he's exhausted by it. And I think that if you're not a fan of it, I think that it's almost like, and I'm not saying that this is what it is, but I think that to certain people, when Twilight was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of these freaking young adult movies started coming out. And Mark and I had to see all of them.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because we reviewed everything. And that was not my genre. The horror movies, not my genre. I was like, another time. And I could acknowledge when the movies were coming in that were good, but it was like, oh, there's another one of these things.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. And I'm like, and it became work. So I would assume, like, to me, I'm looking forward to seeing The Flash. I'm looking forward to Blue Beetle's coming out. Great. I think now there's this thing for some critics who don't look at, they got their dukes up.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about that, though, and that's kind of where, look, this is the time. I'm not saying that all these people that are doing that are necessarily like old or anything like that, but that talk about, this is where expansion, this is where bringing in the next generation or the next people, like, that's where you're like, cool. I don't want to see any more superhero movies. I'm going to hire a young Coy, and I'm going to have them go do, you're in charge of anything that's DC, Marvel, whatever, and I'll handle the rest, because you need to be able to still
talk to that generation.
Not only talk to that generation, but if you're a critic, you need to be able to do it with a straight objective, critical eye, and you clearly are coming in with a bias.
Well, look, I mean, look, I want to again. I don't want to speak for Alonzo Duralde, but
I'm not even coming.
I know you're not. I know you're not. Like, because Alonzo is one of my favorite human beings in the world. He's just a sweetheart of a person, and he's really good at what he does. So, and I don't know if he's exhausted by it. I think that I think like anything, you go into a restaurant, you know, and you go to a new restaurant that I've been into Italian place. Why is this better than the other place that I went to that I liked a lot more? Because we do this dish, and it's the same dish, you know, to him, and it might be. And I don't know. I would love to actually get him on the show to talk because he's next level. If you know, Breakfast All Day is the channel that both he and Kristian Lemire do on YouTube, and they're just, I mean, they're the real deal when it comes to like critics. But I'm just curious. But let's switch to Blue Beetle for a second because
first DCU character.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, man, so, I think that's a fascinating little soundbite.
And I think it was on Rosenbaum's podcast that he said that. So James Gunn was on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, said a lot of different stuff with the Superman stuff that we'll get into that I thought was fascinating with the casting, just the plan in general, right? But the fascinating thing that he said was the DCU. Everybody thought, we've been in this panel obviously, that the first DCU official film was going to be Superman. Like, we didn't know what the hell was going to happen with Blue Beetle. It was something that it was supposed to be an HBO Max movie that then they said was going to get theatrical. They didn't know if it was going to tie in, was going to be Elseworlds. Nobody knew. Well, the confirmation came in from James Gunn himself on the Inside of You podcast with Michael Rosenbaum, and he said this is the first official DCU movie. Now,
he said it's the first official DCU character. Superman's the first DCU movie.
Okay, so how does that work?
Basically, this character will fold into that universe, but the first one with the style and formatting of what I think James Gunn is building as an overall thing
is this
Superman.
canon to his?
So I think Blue Beetle will like be in the teams that come, but Superman's the first DCU film. So the character, kind of like Hulk, you know, got folded in. It's the reverse Hulk. Like, obviously,
Hulk was still that was still part of the MCU,
right? So I'm saying it's in reverse. So like they were able to bring in those characters later, but it wasn't like a movie.
So the character is part of the DCU, but he's not. I mean, excuse me, the character is part of the DCU, but the film that comes out is not part of the DCU.
So yeah, that's the sound. I mean, the quote itself was, "He's the first DCU character. The first DCU film is Superman."
I understand what Coy's saying. On the phone.
James, explain yourself.
No, seriously, you know everybody. But
just text.
No, I think I understand what he's saying. Just the idea of seeing Xolo.
Yeah.
Okay. Seeing Xolo and his rendition of the character, and maybe even some of the people in this film, like any of the ancillary characters, that's all part of the DCU. But I think what specifically he's saying, we didn't obviously shoot this under our regime. So it is not the first DCU film because the first one shot under our regime would be Superman.
Like, yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking that, yeah, we didn't shoot it. It's not something that we produced inside of this DCU, but we saw the movie. It fits into what we want to do. The lore fits in. It's going to be canon. This character fits, and it's a really good movie. And that's if I hope that's what it is, because that means that they watched this and said, this is a good movie.
Yeah.
This is a good movie. We're going to keep this movie. As opposed to if it wasn't good, then he goes, well, look, it's Elseworlds.
Right.
And that's what it is.
That's what's exciting to me is like the confidence in this, because I think Xolo is incredible. And I really am excited. Yeah, he's so great. But I really am excited to see a character like Blue Beetle get their time in the sun, because this is like that C-list character that I love get to see. So the idea that it's folded in is exciting, because that means not only is James Gunn the guy that brings in all those obscure characters, but if he's starting with one, that's exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this is going to be something that, I don't know. How do you feel as far as what you heard? Do you think that it is going to be what Coy had mentioned and how that's going to play? Is it going to be that they really like this movie and that kind of continues into the lore itself? Do they maybe make the sequel inside of the DCU? But speaking of that, though,
his Lex Luthor quote, did you hear it? It's worth mentioning. So obviously Rosenbaum was Lex, in my opinion, the best Lex of all time.
Oh, okay.
And
Gene Hackman disagrees.
Well, that's the funny thing is James Gunn said on the thing that his favorite Lex is Rosie. Like Rosie's his favorite Lex, and he said
They're
it on
buddies. That's not fair.
But then Rosenbaum.
It's like saying you're my favorite redhead.
That's all I ask.
It's not true. Santino's like, what?
Cheetos. But then Lex, calling him Lex. Rosenbaum then said like, hey, just if there's a Lex Luthor, can you please promise me that he's got gravitas, that he's serious? And he was like navigating around the language of not insulting other actors, but he's like, just can it be, the thing that we're talking about? And Gunn then said, I promise he will be that, even though I know other actors have played him a certain way. And the entire internet kicked back thinking he was talking about Eisenberg. And he wasn't. He was talking about Hackman.
Oh.
He put out a tweet the day after where he was like, look, I've been very vocal about my love for Christopher Reeve's Superman. I think it's the best superhero movie of all time. I personally just don't like Gene Hackman's take. It's the first time I feel like anyone's ever agreed with me that Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor was the weakest link of that film.
You're a lunatic.
He's the weakest link of that by a lot. I do not like that Lex Luthor.
So there's your
Otisberg?
Exactly.
Otisberg!
That's not Lex!
Yeah, that's no.
That
See,
is
that's
not
your
Lex
bias.
Luthor.
Well, no, it is.
It's also
That
interpretation, archetypes.
You're a lunatic.
That is golden age. It's a bird. It's a bird. That's Superman.
But it's also like the rest of the film is so sincere and heartfelt. And then there's this guy going like, I am a villain with a mustache to twirl without the mustache.
Yeah,
and
but
it's
in 1 and 2?
But Superman is also
Rosenbaum all day.
Exactly. I'm saying that whole because remember. That entire film is that because Tessmacher.
You're not wrong.
Because Tessmacher shows up and she's like, "Oh man, I guess I shouldn't kill the Duplessis cute though. Hey, why'd you kiss me? Oh, I didn't think I'd ever get another shot."
The whole movie's like that. And Otis is like that in the beginning when he has the two cops and Otis is a buffoon from the start.
But he's part of the Lex problem.
Bro, I didn't even realize, and this is what's wild because I guess this would have been Superman 2. I didn't even realize that Goldmember got the whole prison break idea from Lex Luthor and Otis.
It's ridiculous.
Like what?
And then Superman's
in the balloon, in the hot balloon.
Yeah, the hot air balloon.
I'm just saying, James Gunn and I see Lex Luthor the same and Superman the same. Very excited. But I
either
love
way-
that he's given some love to Rosenbaum.
Well, that plays into the Superman conversation, then the casting that happens inside of that. And I loved what he said about the casting, where you have all these rumors and everything to him. What he addressed, and I thought that he did it in the right way. He goes, "Say what you want about James Gunn will go after people in the press when they spout bullshit or spout stuff that he doesn't want them to know." Because I have seen stuff. What I will say is this: I have seen people leak certain things. Because this is something that happened too, and I'll mention it in the spoiler. There's something that happens in the Flash that I saw someone report.
Yep.
And James Gunn said it wasn't true. I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do
know what
that
you're talking about.
because the person said, "I heard this," and they said, and he said, "Absolutely not." Well, so
why can't you do that?
Well, because you're taking away the authentic. Because you're lying. You're lying now because it's not you're throwing because what we always liked about James Gunn is that he'll tell you no if you said this, okay, cool, I'll address it.
Report. What are we talking?
I can't
say
talk
on the
about
spoiler.
it yet.
Can we just edit this out for a second?
No, not yet. When we go to break. When we go to break. I'll tell you when we go to break. But I'll tell you what. We'll go to break.
Let's go to break.
But I'll tell
I love the chaos of this choice.
It really is. But let me tell you. But first of all, too, let's get serious for a second. Shave your balls. You got to shave your nutbags. It really is. It's important to everybody too.
Otisberg.
Shave your Otisberg. And if you're gonna do it, especially for Father's Day, let me tell you why. Here's Manscaped. Because it's Father's Day, man. You gotta feel good. And you haven't gotten your dad anything yet, have you? Nope, you haven't. You haven't. And you're like, what am I gonna do? Well, today, I'm telling you, sponsoring the show is Manscaped. You and I both know your dad, he needs some serious grooming in his life. Come on. Especially the old timers, man. They don't know. They get to a place like, I don't got to do this. Talk to him about it. Get your dad that Performance Package 4.0. He's going to thank you. It's a win-win situation for not only your dad, but everyone in your family. Whether it's your mom, your dad, anybody. Your dad's going to be walking around, skipping around. He's going to feel like a brand new dude. Go to manscaped.com. Use that code BIGTHING. 20% off and free shipping. It's amazing. I love it. I use it all the time, man. I'm not even kidding. I love it. It's so good. Manscaped's the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and perfected their game with that Lawnmower 4.0. It is next level. It's next level. I'll be honest. I have two of them. I have one of them for actual for my balls. I got other ones. I got the other one for like everything else that I need. I've cut my hair with one. Not the same. I don't use both for the same purpose, but you know what I'm saying. They also have a great beard trimmer too. But you're going to ask me, how is the Lawnmower 4.0 different from the other ones? It's an upgraded trimmer. It includes a multifunction on-off switch that can engage a travel lock, which is an amazing feature. It gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when you need a more precise shave. It's awesome. You want to go in the dark, shave your balls in the forest if you have to. You'll be able to see it. They have tons of products, whether it's cologne, crop mops, ball wipes, crop reviver, ball toner, crop preserver, all of it. It's amazing. Get your dad. You know that he will use it. You have to get it. 20% off, free shipping at manscaped.com. Use that code BIGTHING. Don't forget, you know what? You came from your dad's balls. That's where you were. And now pay him back by saying, oh, you used to live there. Look at that. They cleaned that place up. Looks good. Manscaped.com. Use that code BIGTHING. All right. Once again, thank you to Manscaped. Really appreciate them being on board. And look, I've mentioned this to you guys many times over. It really helps out the show tremendously. And that's why we get sponsors that you like, because I was talking to people who help us get the ads on the show in general and help us find sponsors that we think are going to match up. Please try one of these sponsors. Please try them, the ones that you like, right? Then you think, okay, look, I hear this guy talking about Manscaped for a bit. Should I try it? Should I still get the old danky razors that I get in general? Should I not get somebody a gift? Try it and let me know what you think. For real. Like it does help out the show. We don't do super chats. We don't do Streamlabs here. We don't do any of that on this show. So that's how you support the show, and that's how you support yourself, by getting stuff like Manscaped. Yeah, baby. Let's continue into the Superman thing. So what I really liked about this conversation that he had with Rosenbaum about the casting was, again, going back to the reporter side of it, right? Like when he sees things out there and he goes, okay, well, I see this person reporting on this, this, and this, because Rosenbaum said, oh, it looks like you guys are going to be locked up by Father's Day. And he's like, I don't believe all that. He kind of dodged it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
What he said, he's like, some of the stuff could be true and some of the stuff it isn't. And what I thought was fascinating that a lot of people don't think about was the casting, the agent side of it. Mm-hmm. Agents, if you're going in to test for it, mm-hmm. and you didn't get far, but you tested for it, I'm your agent. I call up the reporter. I go, hey, Coy tested for this thing today.
Yep. Now you've got 5 new meetings that day.
I know your audition didn't go great, and I know you probably didn't get it.
Right.
But I'm going to tell people that you
tested. That's huge.
Because you're going to get the name out there.
Right.
Because then people are going to write articles about it. And who the hell is, like, I had never even heard of David Corn Sweat before.
Right. Now I know his name, and I've seen his face 100 times.
Right. I do think he is one of the top dogs.
Sure.
And I think that it's him, and I think it's Rachel Brosnahan. I do. I think some of these other people, but I loved Gunn's reasoning behind it. I loved Gunn's conversation about it, bringing more awareness about the agent side of it, but also bringing, he's like, look, I get it on the press side of it. I really do. You're trying to get the clicks on it. You're trying to get the big story because it's a thing. He's like, but when there's certain things that are being revealed by the agent about testing and this, he's like, that's between us. And this is personal thing because it's also not fair to the people who aren't going to get it.
Right.
It's like, and when you're getting PR, sure. But it's got to be devastating if maybe you see that
not,
and you see that, well, maybe I do have a shot at this thing. What are you going to say? No, you don't.
I'm just getting away.
But I gotta wonder, to be honest with you, and maybe everybody's agent's a little bit different, but my agent's pretty honest with me. So if they're gonna do something like that, there's got to be a belief in my mind. Agent's like, look, man, I'm just to be real with you. It looks like they're going in a different direction, but we're gonna spin this to get you some more steves right now, because obviously what we want is the job, but if we can't get it, let's get you another one. I gotta believe that most of these agents are at least cluing their clients in, and I wouldn't be as offended by something like that, just because, okay, fine, I didn't get Superman, but if you just leverage this, so now all of a sudden I'm going to go over here and play Wonder Man, fine.
Yeah.
I can do that. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I think that it just depends on how what kind of game they're gonna play, and then maybe they'll also tell you, look, I think you're in the running for this thing. You're in the running. You got a shot.
It is making me think we might not have the Comic-Con thing that I thought we would. I don't know.
It's too soon.
Well, because you could announce the cast there.
I think they're going to announce the cast.
I'm because I think that'd be a good place for it, and 2 years out from
minus a strike sack.
Right,
a SAG strike.
Because if strike SAG happens, then I think that it's either going to be a very quick turnaround, it'll be over in 10 days, or the SAG strike's going to be 6 months. I think there's no in between, because it's going to be
strike SAG.
The strike SAG.
When you said that, I was like, is he talking about
it's a superhero,
minus someone getting struck in the balls?
It's going to be a strike SAG. Hurry, get Manscaped.
think that the studios are going to benefit off of Strag Psych. Wow,
Yes.
it's gotten worse. Strag Psych is a new 2 words.
SAG.
Strike. There's a benefit for the studios to have a
Spit
SAG
it out.
strike
Yeah.
quickly.
Do
but
better.
Then they also might get greedy and be like, no, we can hold out, we can hold out, we can hold out. And it's going to cost them so much more a day. It's $30 million a day now.
Yeah.
Once SAG strikes, it's going to be like 50 to 70 million a day.
If they have that, if that happens, then Comic-Con will not happen.
It'll be tiny.
If it doesn't happen, we talked about this on Big Thing yesterday with Roxy, that if it's just the writer strike right now, if you're David Corn Sweat, you're showing up to Hall H. This is James Gunn's asking you to show up. You're showing up. Rachel Brosnahan, same thing. She's a name, but like not as big. She'll show up if they're cast. I'm just saying. But I do think that they are. I do think the Father's Day area within the next week or two, they're going to find who they're looking for. I think it's going to happen.
I push back only in the sense that I know that James with his wife being an actress, with his brother being an actor, with him having acted at that point, I would feel that he specifically wouldn't put that kind of pressure on him. I think it'd be
pressure
of like you're saying showing up if the strike is
not
happening.
SAG. I'm talking about. I'm saying writer strike. If the writer strike is going on, SAG strike, they're not going to. There's no chance to show up for SAG.
Okay, I thought you
That's
were
what
saying.
we're
I thought you were saying if that
No,
happens,
no.
that if Gunn asks you to come, you
That's
come anyway.
why I'm
And I was
saying
like,
the
not for
SAG
SAG,
strike is
for writer
either going to be 10 days where it'll be done before Comic-Con, or it's going to go through quarter 4 and then they won't be there.
They'll get in trouble if it's a SAG strike and they show up. That's you're putting him at. He wouldn't ask him to do that.
Okay.
No, but like no. If it's only the writer strike still going on, because there are some actors right now that aren't doing anything because of in solidarity for writers. But I think that and like there's no rules in SAG yet that says you can't go to you cross the line this will be crossing the line if they do it and there's a strike for SAG.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see how it plays, but I think it's interesting nonetheless that of how he broke it down but I do think it's going to be Corn Sweat and Brosnahan.
Those are the 2 names that have come up the most, the longest, and I definitely like them. I've been one of the people that loves Nick Holt, his Superman idea. I know a lot of people don't. It's not popular. But there's also like 3 or 4 other names of Lois that I've loved. But now, kind of like what we were talking about, I'm gonna look at their work. Like I didn't know them. I love Miss Maisel, so I already knew Brosnahan. It's cool to have the discovery even by like almost casting. However, it works out.
Well, that's what's hilarious about it is that I think Nicholas Hoult is a phenomenal actor. I think he's really good. I mean, like really, he's like next level good. He's gonna be a guy that's around for a long time.
Agreed.
He's good. He's great in everything. He's awesome. I'm a huge fan. But I'm like, I think it's Corn Sweat. I've never seen this guy do a soap commercial. I haven't seen him do anything. So he could be, I could say, yeah. And I'm like, oh man, we should have gotten Holt. But I'm just going off a look.
Sure.
To me, I'm going off a look. And that's not the right way to do it. That's why, again, I said, like, when it comes to James Gunn, the guy knows how to cast.
100%.
So if he casts Nicholas Hoult, I'm going to do that stinks. I would have rather him
Then 2
do
years
Lex.
later.
Yeah, but I just think that he's just too, I think he's, I like the idea of Superman being, it's just so synonymous to what Clark Kent is. Nobody knows who he is, and he just kind of shows up one day, right? And it's like this unknown character that makes such an impact, and that's what I want to see the actor do. That's what the actor has always done. Whether
That's
it's
what
Henry
Sasha Cole
Cavill,
did, man. Sasha's so good.
I really like it's Sasha Kaye. Apparently,
Kaye, thank you.
That's what people have been
Sasha
telling me because
Kaye.
I said the same thing, and people have been telling me it's Sasha Kaye.
That's a cooler name, Sasha Kaye.
Yeah. But so I thought she was very impactful.
It's like Bruce Willis, Die Hard.
Not really.
Yippee-ki-yay, Sasha Kaye. It totally is. Sasha Kaye,
I
mother.
thought you meant Willis.
Oh no.
But she's really good in the movie. She's really good in the movie. The problem, I just think that character is super underdeveloped.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Really,
Yeah, no, they don't. Well, they don't. They give enough time to get some of the base points out there.
Yeah, she
but
does.
that's-
She does everything she's asked to do.
Have they said yet if she's gonna be the one doing Supergirl, Woman of
She won't be
Tomorrow?
doing DCUs. They haven't said that, but it seemed like when Andy Muschietti was talking about how it's opened up for Elseworlds and all that kind of stuff, they could probably do an Elseworld movie with her. She's been getting great responses from people. I thought
Yeah.
she was intense.
She
I thought
crushed.
I thought
She's a highlight of the movie
great.
for me.
She was great. Yeah, see, I won't go that far as because I just and it has nothing to do with her. I just don't think the writing for her character was that strong.
I feel like she's the only new character, and with that, she did like so well to make it.
Yeah,
Like when
she
she
was
was
really
on
good in
screen, I wasn't like, let's go back to people I know. I was like, I want to learn more about her.
Totally
So
agree.
Pulled in is always a strength.
so I agree with that. Like when it comes to like, let's say again, the character like Reva in Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Brand new character. They didn't give her a proper writing in that one, but more so of like you're gonna have you're focused. Everybody's looking to see this one particular story between these two dudes that we know.
Right.
You got to make this character super impactful.
And I think
if you're
she
gonna
did
make
that
the character.
with.
Yeah. For what was given to Sasha Kaye in that role, for what anytime she was on,
Yeah.
I wanted to watch her. Anytime she was there, I wasn't like.
So I'm
okay.
separating the writing a bit more, I think, because I'm
Her-
acknowledging
her
like what she
performance,
was doing.
She was fantastic, but like, yeah, I think it was more so about the writing. Where to me, I was like, well, what else? Let's learn more because she
Yeah.
was so good.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn more about her,
And I would
That's
always
the first
prefer
thing.
that than like, why is Supergirl distracting from my Flash?
Right, like okay, let's like, and that's
go back
like-
to Keaton.
and this is nothing against Moses Ingram, but like at the end of the Obi-Wan, you get to that scene where Vader and Obi-Wan are fighting, and then they cut to her with
B-plot.
Owen and Baru, and you're like, get out of
And
it.
I
don't
never
care about
felt
this.
like she was a B plot. I did feel like Moses Ingram
Right.
was forced into a B plot.
Right,
Again,
forced
not
them
against
to do-
her,
no,
but a B
just,
plot.
the writing wasn't there. This wasn't that it was bad writing. This was that it was just not developed.
And there was
her
so many
character.
moving parts that it was hard to
100%.
add
Yeah.
that plate.
Yeah. All right, we got more to talk about too, but there's a lot here, man. There's a lot that we're talking about thus far. But let's get into this next story. The Incredible Hulk. It's finally coming to Disney Plus, and it's happening way sooner than expected. This is from Josh Wilding over at Comic Book Movie. There have been rumblings for a while that the Incredible Hulk might finally join its fellow MCU movies on Disney Plus, but now it's been confirmed, and you don't have to wait very long. Iron Man launched the MCU in style, and the Incredible Hulk followed a few short months later. The movie didn't receive the same overwhelmingly positive critical and commercial response, making it something of a black sheep in the MCU. Not helping matters was the backstage drama that ensued with Ed Norton. He'd walk away from the role, opening the door to Mark Ruffalo, which he's probably kicking himself in the ball bag for, taking over as Bruce Banner 4 years later in The Avengers. The 2008 blockbuster has rarely been referenced by MCU, although that finally changed in She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Several characters from the movie will also return in Captain America Brave New World, with the prevailing theory that there's going to set the stage for a World War Hulk project. While The Incredible Hulk was made available on HBO Max early last year, Disney Plus has announced that it'll be there starting tomorrow. Holy moly. This is great news. That would be today, I guess, especially for the newer MCU fans who may not have had the chance to watch the Jade Giant Solos outing before now. While by no means perfect, there's a lot to enjoy about the blockbuster. Between Hulk, Abomination, Marvel Studios has teamed up with Universal to make the move, and it's because of that we haven't seen the Hulk take center stage in his own movie since. The two sides clearly reached an agreement to bring the Hulk to Disney, so here's hoping it stays there. Okay, so this is... I disagree with the fact that it's just not a great plot. I love this movie. I love The Incredible Hulk. It was one of my, and the score in that film is so good, and I like it. I mean, Ruffalo is now because he's just done it so much,
Yeah.
and he's kind of take your word. He's kind of take the nuance of what I always knew Hulk was, and he's really kind of taking more of a. I don't know. They both are really good in it.
They're very different.
I love Ed Norton's take.
Ed
on-
Norton's so meditative.
Yeah.
Ed Norton's is so ponderous,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
so much more Bixby.
Yeah.
and I
Yes.
like. It's kind of like my thing with the Spider-Man. I think that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is a Silver Age Spider-Man. I think that the use of Andrew Garfield is the closest to the comic, but I think Tom Holland's is the only one that could work in a team. I feel the same about Mark Ruffalo. I don't think Ed Norton's works in a team. I think Mark Ruffalo's Hulk is the best team Hulk you can get.
Sure.
Whereas Ed Norton's is a more authentic to the comic book Hulk
Yeah.
because it is not a team player. I think that's the strength of them both.
But that's what I liked about Ruffalo, though. I think that he was. This shows you how good of an actor he is, though. I always felt that he was the Ed Norton character that just learned more. Like I think that I think if you talk to Mark Ruffalo, he's like, yeah, I definitely watched the movie and watched that performance to see where I needed to go from there. Because when Black Widow approaches him in Infinity War, it's kind of the first time we see him, right? And he's
No, the original Avengers, but yeah.
Original Avengers, sorry. not
Oh, I
Infinity War,
just heard that
yes. Sorry, Original Avengers. But when she approaches him there and they're all surrounding him and he knows it. But there was like he's been taking that time from the first movie to breathe and learn the jiu-jitsu stuff and all that, to get there and to be at peace. So I always believed there was a progression of it. So I don't know.
I just felt that Mark Ruffalo always has that, actually from Avengers, same, where Downey and him are having that scene together. There's that inherent, like, he doesn't want to be near, he doesn't want to be touched. He's got that thing. Whereas I always found like Ed Norton was more of a mental. He always had played it like more introspectively. Because the second Hulk movie was one of the best storylines I'd ever heard for Hulk that they never did. Like the sequel to Ed Norton's Hulk was going to be like in his head meditation. It was going to be about like him going on a walkabout, and like that fascinates me, but that's not like an MCU Hulk movie. Right. So I feel like they're just playing, it's the same character, but Ruffalo's take suits what the MCU is doing better.
It isn't now, but like, to be honest with you, where we were even with Avengers, it would have fit.
It would have fit then.
It would have fit. It's just where we are at this very moment, sure. But remember, just like every variant and timeline we've talked about, that's because we've walked down this path.
Right, we're that much further down the journey.
I think Edward Norton's would have been just fine, especially because when you look at some of those scenarios, I think that was what was a little more interesting. I do agree that he was really focused on the meditation and stuff. He felt way more nervous and on edge, constantly.
Always. Oh yeah, sure.
And there's something about that to me. When you get to some of the later Bruce Banner storylines, I do agree he's more Mark Ruffalo-esque, where he's kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
But there are so many stories like when he hasn't yet, and he is constantly on edge. There is something about losing that as quickly as we did that does take a little bit away, because I don't necessarily feel like there's a nuclear bomb in the room.
I would love to have the Ed Norton take return, and like maybe that's something that can happen because of the events at the end of or Dick, can you imagine an actual Ed Norton movie, like to go that way?
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
They're not going to do it, but like those are the dreams we have now with Elseworlds.
Who's to say? Well, I guess it doesn't necessarily work because these are all supposed to be the same universe, but I was like, who's to say that they wouldn't necessarily have a variant?
That's not necessarily true, because we don't know which characters are Nexus beings, which aren't. We could have literally, look what we're doing with Harrison Ford. He's going to be playing a character that's.
But every time you get into this, no, but for real, and you do it
just
well, but like
people.
It's so confusing to the average person. Like, I remember when you guys were doing this like a couple weeks ago, where you're talking about and this and elsewhere, and I'm like, nothing to you guys, but I'm like, shut up. But not for what you're talking about, because you guys are geeking out about it, but like to the person.
Hey, the critic came out.
100%.
This is why CCA, right?
No, but 100% to where it's just like, you're just like, whoa, like this person was in this issue of this comic book, and that person could show up, that person with a different mustache, and that person could come up and their hat could be red, but that person's hat should be green, and it's like, this is why the MCU is in trouble at the moment.
But I think that's what Secret Wars is going to do, is fix. I think it's literally going to collide it all together. I think we're going to find out in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars that some of the universes are not the same one that we think they are. I think there's a reason Spider-Man swung through the same tree that Hawkeye fought out, but it wasn't there. I think there's going to be things that show like these are different timelines, and then they're all going to crash together. And it's going to confuse a lot of people, but then it's going to clean it all up.
Yeah, you got to clean it up. Somehow you got to find.
I think the Flash, one of the best things the Flash did, this is not a spoiler, but one of the best things the Flash did was explain the power of the multiverse through spaghetti. And I've been craving spaghetti ever since.
Yeah, I thought they did it way better than the MCU has done it.
So
explained it a lot better in general, of like how certain people could be there when other people weren't. It was just within one conversation, and you're like, okay, now I understand your rules. I still don't understand Marvel's rules, but I understand your rules.
I
agree.
Well, I don't. You know what? The best example, the best explanation they did of it was Loki. It's just I don't know how long ago it's been that you've seen it, because like they did do a very good job of just like with the whole pruning. It's like literally that. It's just every single time something happened, you're just making these branches.
Sure, but that was Loki's rules. It seemed like seemed more so like it's Loki's rules, because there were sometimes it didn't seem like it takes like. And the reason why I don't think it takes like a lot of rules, not necessarily the multiverse, but the rules, we just had this big conversation 2 weeks ago. The rules doesn't pertain to everyone else, because the writers of Doctor Strange 2 didn't watch the movie. They watch WandaVision. So they don't know those rules.
That's a whole other
You know what I'm saying? No, like that's what I mean. But no, it's the same conversation.
Yeah.
It's the same because you're
That's the problem with
that's the problem. They don't know the rules. The people inside of writing inside of the same place that should have the same rules don't know those
there
rules.
Needs to
they
be
didn't
a
watch
show
that
Bible.
show. Or they it's like, well, they didn't have a chance to watch it because it wasn't out yet. Read the scripts, guys.
Yeah, those have been done for a while.
Yeah.
And the show Bible for Marvel used to feel so buttoned up that's why I think part of me is hoping that's how they fix the Doctor Strange problem, is by going like, okay, there's too many erroneous things that don't line up. We have to
Erroneous.
solve it.
Erroneous on all accounts.
All accounts. Conjecture, Your Honor. But I think that's how you solve it.
You know what's interesting, and this is what shocks me, is I remember when we're in the Civil War era, when we're in the Endgame Infinity War era, I remember watching all of these behind the scenes of like essentially having your Arthur and the Round Table of directors with Feige, and then being like, okay, it's going to be this and this. And so while obviously the Russos are the ones running the ship at the time, because
you got a brain
like,
trust.
They're literally all, they're like, okay, cool. If that happens and we go to Wakanda, Ryan, what do you think? Okay, then we have this, and
then
this.
James Gunn would do comic book punch-ups. And it was like a universal, like, you had the cosmic, you had the punch-ups, you had the story, the team stuff.
I
don't know if that's
like that. If people aren't reading scripts now, if people don't know what all, then there's
you want
I think James Gunn can run DC.
You want a sports reference again?
Sure.
All right. So Marvel is baseball and DC is football.
Okay.
Where Marvel,
oh God, they're on the way out.
Pastime.
And then football is now.
America's pastime was baseball for years, and then football said,
wow.
Get out the way.
And there's still baseball fans.
There's tons of baseball. Baseball's very popular.
Yeah.
It's just baseball's just not number one game in town anymore.
Yeah.
There it is. We just hit the NFL AFL merger right now. Yeah. So now the question is, will football really take the spotlight?
Right.
Because they got to do it first. They got to.
Is it going to be the NFL or the CFL?
Or the XFL with The Rock running Black Adam.
Or the XFL.
Yeah, the XFL.
He hate me. Let's go.
He hate me. I love that. I love that he hate me was the only thing that stuck from that thing.
That's the only thing that
stuck
from the XFL.
That was it. Unbelievable. And that was the first rendition of it. Is it still on?
It's back.
It's back.
I know it's been back, but I don't know if it's stuck around.
No.
The Rock has a.
Yeah, The Rock has a huge.
Yeah.
I think he owns it now, like 51% or something.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He got it for cheap. He get it for like $3 million.
Yeah.
It
I mean, Young Rock got canceled. He's got time to focus on it.
You want to talk about cheap? Let's talk about Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is a way to cut your phone bill down tremendously. And then, because you cut your phone bill down, you can splurge a little bit and get yourself a blanket from RUMPL. I'm going to tell you about both of those right now. Mint Mobile. You guys know Mint Mobile. We've been with Mint Mobile for a while. They've been with us for a while. And they're back as a sponsor. And it's so great because you got so many years of all these fine print contracts, and you've gotten ripped off by the big wireless providers. You know that you have. There's always a catch with those companies, because that's even when Mint Mobile first came on, everybody was, yeah, right, $15 a month, sure. What's the catch? There is no catch. There's no catch. The Mint Mobile secret sauce is that they are the first company to sell wireless service online only. That's why they keep popping up in the news. That's why, because companies that try like a shtick, they go away fast. Well, Mint Mobile has not gone anywhere. They're here. They cut out the cost of retail stores, and they pass those sweet savings directly to you. If you hate your phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless, just $15 a month. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate, whether you're buying one for your family. And at Mint, families start at 2 lines. It's awesome. They all come with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivery on the nation's largest 5G network. Get your own new wireless plan, just $15 a month. Get that plan shipped to your door for free. Go to mintmobile.com/thing. mintmobile.com/thing. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/thing. I'm so glad we're with RUMPL, man. So glad I keep getting DMs and ats and all that stuff. People telling me, you were right. I love RUMPL. And somebody said, I got one to help out the show, but I didn't realize I'm probably going to buy more because I love them. And if it wasn't for you and your show was just trying to help your stupid ass out, I wouldn't have done it. I'm glad that I did, and I'm glad they did. RUMPL's on a mission to introduce the world to better blankets. They're made with durable, sustainable materials, and they're built to last. They recycle over 5 million plastic water bottles a year. They are B Corp certified, climate neutral, and they donate 1% of all their sales to environmental causes. I love these blankets because they don't fall apart. You can take them to a soccer field and sit on them there. You can take them camping, and then they have blankets you can just curl up on your couch and watch movies and TV with. I have a bunch of them that I do all that stuff with. They have over 135 unique designs, and there's a blanket for everybody. Yeah, they're not just for outdoors; they're everywhere. You can do it for everything. It's great. You just you got an outside area. You want to curl up and just look at the stars. Do that. No, I just want to watch TV. Do that. It's the best. They have cozy hemp, fleece, Sherpas, everything. Now, go to rumple.com/thebigthing. Use that code THEBIGTHING at checkout, and you get 10% off your first order. Rumple.com/thebigthing. Use that code THEBIGTHING. That's right, man. I told you. RUMPL and Mint Mobile. Love them. And as I mentioned beforehand too, I still when I'm checking comments or whether it's DMs on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it comes in, I see people going, "Hey, I really like your show. I really like thank you for the show. And is there anything I can do to support? Do you do super chats? We don't, but help yourself out and get one of those sponsors, man. I'm telling you, like just today, you're like, oh, I really like this show. What can I do to support this show? Support yourself. Get a blanket. Cut your phone bill down. Get yourself some of that Mint Mobile because that's how it works.
It's also Father's Day this weekend.
That's
so
right.
If you want to get your dad some
man.
Manscaped, maybe you guys are real close. Maybe you want to get him a blanket and a little more personal.
Get him the beard trimmer. Stop talking about shaving your daddy's nuts.
I'm not saying you're doing the action. I'm saying you're letting him know he needs to get done.
There are nose trimmers.
I'm just saying you're like, hey, Dad.
It's the
I
total
love that
package.
you and your mom are still close. So,
Hey, Dad, I just wanted to clean up the lawn of where I used to live.
I'm just saying.
That's what I said in my ad.
From whence you came.
That's what I said in my ad. I said, hey, you remember I used to live there? Look
That was my childhood home. I want to make sure the lawn
that's
looks
what
good.
I said.
I think it's important to acknowledge your
In my ad,
ancestry.
I said, walk by. Oh man, they really let that place go. not anymore. You get the latest tech coming in. Yeah. And who do you think's going to thank you? Your dad? Oh, your mama. Both. That's right. All right.
Times like this, I'm glad my parents are divorced.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe not after he gets Manscaped.
Change the game.
You son of a bitch.
Get them back together.
So good.
Get them back together.
Get him under that RUMPL blanket together.
That's right.
That's right. Kill you.
Why? It's a nice gesture.
He's going to need some better help.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
what are you doing here? All right, here we go.
I
Listen
need Mint Mobile to call 911 to send my ass to jail when you're in the ground.
Man, I got some energy. I need some trade coffee. I don't even have them as a sponsor. All right, here we go. All right,
AG1 for you to run from Winston long enough.
that's right. All right, let's do this.
It's not gonna take
Let's
much.
move. I want to talk about Secret Wars or Secret Invasion. Excuse me. All right, Secret Invasion, guys. This show came out for screeners. I think it comes out this
21st.
Yeah, the 21st. I have not watched it yet. I've seen the tweets and all that. And I think we go back to this is initially where Coy's tweet about the critics, I think, came out. Was that I saw you guys both tweeting about. I saw Winston's first because Winston had at first said I had watched one episode. I like where they're going with it. I want to see more. And then I saw his follow up tweet that was like, "Oh, this is a good show." I saw Roka. Roka really liked it. It can get dark at times. And I saw Coy, and because this kind of the Marvel that I'm looking for. I've seen people in our space that have seen the light, but then I wonder if it's the same thing we're just talking about. Like the people who are just going, here's another freaking Marvel thing. Here, I gotta watch this now. Boom. I wonder. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know if I'm maybe going to be on that page. But Winston, first thoughts on this show?
Yeah, it's funny. I think people misread my tweet, and that might have been kind of my own fault. I out of respect for what they did at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier and changed the name officially to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. My tweet was saying that it was a blend of WandaVision and essentially the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Captain America. When people read that as, oh, it's Captain America, the Winter Soldier meets WandaVision. Oh, crap. Like as in the movie.
Oh, gotcha.
I think you could make the argument that it kind of brings in all three of them for sure. Because there are feels of it sometimes. Like I'm thinking about when U.S. Agent like murders one of the Flag Smashers.
Yeah.
It gives that kind of brutality at
John
times.
Walker.
Yeah, exactly. It gives that kind of brutality at times, and it kind of can have that tone at times. But I do think it blends all three of those particular series or film into series, and it gives you that. And that's what makes it kind of interesting. The only thing that I think they did better, without getting into it, we obviously know that the Skrulls are involved. I don't think we necessarily had as much of a connection with the lead Flag Smasher. What was it, Carly? I don't think we have as much connection with her. I think it's kind of what felt shoehorned. There is a personal connection you're having with a few of the Skrulls that are caught in the middle of this that I think they did significantly better.
How many episodes is it?
They just released the two.
6 total.
Is it 6 total?
It's only 6.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. That to me that means we have a story we want to tell. We know exactly where we want to go. We don't want to push this just to push this. And how long were the episodes?
40 minutes.
An hour, 52 and 56.
What?
I mean, mine were.
Probably.
Wow.
No. They weren't. What it is remember
Credits?
all that credits is part of that runtime.
I'm looking at the actual file, so you could be right.
It's
let's
about
say 46
it's
minutes.
about 46.
Okay. But yeah,
That's a
the file was 52. You're
That's
right.
a good episode. That's a good runtime. It's not one of these 28, 32 minute.
Yeah, But I talked to the director and he said that he basically did exactly what he set out to do, and the show's length is with the intent of the story. So I like that some might be shorter, some might be longer, but they told the story they wanted to tell. So I think
Within
6
that
is
time.
beautiful.
6 is great.
I think if this sticks the landing, it'll be up there with Loki for me. Loki's my favorite Marvel show. I posted that. I didn't realize Loki was so hated. I got so much crap. They were like, I agreed with everything you said. Dude, I got literally more retweets going like, agreed with everything Blood said except for the Loki bit. I guess his points are relevant. Like, I got so much Loki hate.
I liked Loki.
I thought Loki was the best.
WandaVision's my favorite than Loki.
If WandaVision had stuck the landing in episode 6, it would be my favorite. But for me, the landing didn't quite.
Fair enough.
So for me, I'm always like, how's episode 6 going to be? Because for me, Moon Knight didn't land 6. I feel like Hawkeye didn't land 6. I feel like WandaVision didn't land 6.
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight was so good until 5.
Episode, no, it was 5. It was great.
5 was great. Sorry, until 5 ended. Yeah.
5 was like one of the
Genius.
best television episodes I saw.
I went 1, 2 were great. Drag 5 was incredible, and then I just didn't care.
And so
6 was just
they
not
keep
good.
having a 6 problem. So if I think if Secret Invasion can land this, if it can land the plane, they have a 6 problem. Then this is gonna be my favorite shows, maybe even more than Loki because of what they've set up.
Yeah, and they treated like a full kind of
Whole
like
arc.
3-4 hour or maybe 5-hour movie. Yeah.
Because the one thing I will say without spoiling anything, there are times where like you can see the writing on the wall about what's about to happen, and then that does happen.
Yeah.
And then they completely pull a switcheroo on you.
Yeah.
And you go, wait, what?
I'm excited to watch it because
I
I'm
think
going to watch
it's
it
the
this
best
weekend.
writing. Like I think, like bar none, I think Loki's
You
got the
have to
best
be.
world building.
Like Andor style?
I think
Okay,
yes,
yeah,
dude, it's
yeah.
exactly Andor. Because Marvel, I think Loki's got the best writing for exposition and story and a great moments of dialogue, but they have to do so much. There's not enough moments of just Mobius and Loki talking that I wanted. And then WandaVision, I think, has the best spectacle, tying in a lot of lore. This is literally a series of scenes with Sam Jackson talking to John Cheadle.
See,
Sam Jackson
that's
talking to Olivia Colman.
Andor
That was the
development.
best.
So
And it's genius.
Now I know that this was shot before Andor and all that too, but I do think that Andor is going to really start to, for the better, change some stuff in the geek television world. I think that people responded to Andor because the people that were saying it was boring, it didn't do very well, they haven't been paying attention to the ratings because
The fact that it did so well that they then re-released it on ABC.
they re-released it. More people started watching it. And the ratings, because streaming works differently than movies. Like you know, if you go to see a movie in the theater the first 2 weekends and nobody goes and sees it and it starts to eat shit, where do people usually find it? On television, or on streaming. So when your show already lives there and like, I don't know what this is, I watch stuff, and then people are talking about, all right, I'm going to check this out. People are checking it out today for the first time. So Andor's been doing really well, and the reason I bring that up is because I think that more people are going to, in the room, you can see it like, well, it's kind of like Andor in this version.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Andor here. You're going to start to hear that because Andor is now a potential Emmy Award nominated
Because kids
show.
grew up. That's the
Right.
thing, is like genre content isn't just for kids. It's all ages. And I think Andor was finally them going, let's make Star Wars that's mature. Let's make
Gilroy said
something
that.
for something.
Yeah.
Like it's been, we've been with Star Wars for 40 years, 35,
77.
something. So yeah, like a while. And our generation has come back to it for 20. So it's time to let the 30-year-olds that are enjoying this stuff have a 30-year-old show. And I think that Andor and Secret Invasion are the first two that feel
It's almost 50
fully
years.
that.
77.
I mean,
Oh, God.
Wow.
It's mind blowing to me that we're still having to have this conversation
Same.
when you think about
Logan,
that's
Deadpool.
take it out aside of superheroes for a second. Game of Thrones. What? But in
Fantasy,
theory,
yeah.
in theory, what grown ass man that is maybe like would necessarily dive into like dragons
Well,
and
you would
wizards
initially,
and-
what did everybody say when the show came out? They're like, oh, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings. You're like, on steroids.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole thing is like once you realize, okay, yes, I'm set in this fantasy world. However, it's all about politics, like duplicitousness, and you're really getting into the character building of it. If you do the same thing with Star Wars, if you do the same thing with superheroes, then
But there's not to say you can have a balance on both, right? Like
Absolutely.
there's for sure. Like there's ones that you can have, like you can. It doesn't mean you have to dumb it down. It just means that the tone shifts a little bit.
Just like comics, you buy certain books, certain
Yeah.
runs, and that's what I think they finally did with Secret Invasion. And I didn't expect. I expected Winter Soldier. I actually got like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I got like a true mature spy.
I'm excited to watch it. It comes out soon. I'm going to watch it this weekend, I think, and check out those 2 episodes. Just
ooh, you
gonna-
got to do it today.
Why?
Our cutoff is today.
Oh, is it?
It was only for like a 4-day window.
Oh shoot! Is it? Does it end today?
Tomorrow at like today.
Well,
Midnight?
Friday.
Friday. It ends on
Yes.
Friday. So I'll have to watch it tonight, basically, from when we shoot this. Okay. That was about as confusing as the multiverse. So thank you guys for joining us here on today's show. Big thing, Capes and Cowls. Once again, if you're able to, I always put the sponsors in the pinned comment. So if you're like, oh, I want to know what your link is, right there. That's how you keep the show going. That's how you keep the show on the air, and that's how you benefit yourself by getting one of our wonderful sponsors. I'd like to thank both Winston and Coy. Winston, where can I find you?
Yo, you can find me at the Swaggy Blurred on all the platforms I'm on. I've got 2 things that I'm pushing right now. I guess 3. I'm trying to get my TikTok up to a G, just because then I can start using some of the creator tools. I'm trying to get the Instagram up to 7K just cause, and I'm trying to get the YouTube up to 2K. So come, if you haven't on all those things, come do it. I got a lot of content that I'm putting on all those platforms.
Likewise, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, my big 3. I've been doing this series that I really love called If You Like This, Read This. And basically, there I am. If you like this, read this. So basically, like, I just did one today for The Flash. So if you're excited for The Flash, here's some stuff that inspired it. If you really enjoyed Spider-Verse, here are the comics that led to it. So they're quick. They're under a minute, and it's about 60 years worth of lore in about 50 seconds. So I'm giving you the most concentrated version of my brain possible. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Well,
there you go. And once again, guys, if you're able to get to New York, do it. TheChristianHarloff.com. You can get the live stream, whether you're part of if you're a member on the website, you will be able to see it. If you're not, you just want to get an a la carte, you can do that as well. So, all right, everybody, thank you for joining us here today on the show for Winston and Coy. We'll see you on the flip side Monday. Flash spoiler discussion. Peace.